June 4th, 1944. Northern France, 50 kilometers inland from the coast. Morning mist hangs low over a sleepy Norman village as Lieutenant Hans Weber, commander of a Panzergruppe 4 platoon from the 12th SS Panzer Division Hitlerjugend, adjusts his field binoculars. He and his men lounge beside their steel beasts, cigarettes glowing in the fog. Across the hedgerows, they hear rumours. The Amerikaner are coming. More specifically, their so-called Sherman tanks. Weber chuckles as a mechanic, Corporal Franz Lenz, wipes his hands on a greasy rag. Tommy Cookers, Lenz mutters. One shot. Boom! They light up like Christmas candles. The men laugh. For months, reports from the Eastern Front described how Soviet T-34s could shrug off multiple hits. But the Americans, their M4 Sherman was tall, thinly armoured, and gasoline-fueled, a death trap by German standards. Even the name was mocked, Sherman, after a Civil War general who burned cities. Maybe it'll burn just as well, Weber jokes, drawing another round of laughter. Nearby, in a half-buried command post, Oberst Karl Hoffmann studies maps marked with red arrows, stretching from the English Channel toward Caen and Saint-Lô. Intelligence suggests a massive Allied build-up across the Channel, yet most German commanders, lulled by years of superiority, believe any landing will be quickly repelled. They trust their Tigers and Panthers, the pride of German engineering, machines that could destroy a Sherman from 2 kilometers away. As the night deepens, distant thunder echoes, not from the sky, but from the sea. The sound grows louder, rhythmic, relentless. By dawn on June 6th, 44, that thunder becomes unmistakable. The guns of the Allied invasion fleet. Normandy is burning. June 7th, 44. The Normandy countryside is no longer quiet. Smoke rolls across fields once green with wheat. The air tastes of cordite, oil, and fear. On the outskirts of Villers-Bocage, Lieutenant Hans Weber grips the hatch rim of his Panzer IV, sweat trickling beneath his goggles. His radio crackles with fragments of chaos. Broken voices, coordinates, urgent shouts drowned by artillery. Sherman's advancing from Bayeux. Dozens of them, more behind. He can hardly believe it. Dozens. There weren't supposed to be that many. Through the periscope, he spots movement. Small, boxy silhouettes crawling over a ridge. M4 Shermans, their olive-drab hulls glinting under the morning sun. Weber's gunner, Dietrich, laughs through clenched teeth. Easy prey. The German cannon roars. A single high-explosive shell slams into the lead Sherman, igniting its fuel tank. A fireball blossoms, and the crew scrambles out, engulfed in flame. Weber's crew cheers, but their celebration dies quickly. More Shermans appear. Not 3 or 4. Scores. They move methodically, flank to flank, supported by Allied fighter bombers screaming overhead. P-47. Thunderbolts dive from the clouds, unleashing rockets that tear through hedgerows and armour alike. Achtung, Jabos! Weber yells. Take cover! The Tiger Y platoon a kilometre away isn't as lucky. A rocket slams into one's engine deck, and the explosion throws its 56-ton carcass into flames. Another Tiger reverses, but its treads snap under concentrated artillery fire. Meanwhile, the Shermans don't stop. They burn, yes, but for every one destroyed, 3 more roll forward. They seem endless, climbing over the wreckage of their own. Inside one of those M4s, Corporal James Jimmy Harris, a 22-year-old tank gunner from Kansas, grips his control handles. His hands shake, but his eyes are steady. Keep moving, boys! His commander shouts. They can't hit us all. The Americans press forward, firing on the move, an unheard-of tactic to the Germans. Their 75mm guns can't penetrate a Tiger's front, but they don't need to. They go for flanks, for fuel trucks, for supply lines. And above all, they never stop advancing. By afternoon, Weber's panzer platoon is half gone. Smoke blinds the horizon. A nearby Panther explodes, turret flying off like a coin flipped by God. For the first time, Weber feels a chill. Where the hell do they get all these tanks? He mutters, half to himself. The answer is thousands of miles away, across the Atlantic. June 10th, 1944. Omaha Beach Supply Zone. The roar of engines and the groan of cranes fill the salty air. Endless convoys of Sherman tanks, fresh from Liberty ships, rumble down steel ramps laid over the sand. Each one bears a white star on its hull and the smell of new paint. American engineers work with mechanical precision, refueling, rearming, and rolling these tanks inland faster than the Germans can destroy them. A logistical miracle is unfolding. In London, General Dwight D. Eisenhower studies the reports. Sherman losses are heavy, one officer notes grimly. Ike looks up. Then we'll build more Shermans. And America does. In Detroit, Chicago, and Cleveland, factories that once made refrigerators and cars now churn out tanks by the hour. One Sherman every 25 minutes. The Germans mock its armour, but the numbers are beyond imagination. Meanwhile, in the hedgerows of Normandy, Lieutenant Hans Weber is running out of fuel, ammunition, and hope. His once proud panzer company is reduced to 3 functioning vehicles. Every village, every hill, every road seems to swarm with olive-green silhouettes and the thunder of Allied air cover. By dusk, a Panther under his command lies burning beside a farmhouse. Its crew, all 19-year-olds, didn't stand a chance. Weber watches as another wave of Shermans crests the ridge. He knows their weak spots, the side armour, the rear, the turret ring. But there are too many, and they keep coming. Overhead, the sky rumbles. The 9th Air Force has arrived. P-47 Thunderbolts and Typhoon fighter bombers streak through the clouds, unloading rockets that blast apart his column. One hits close, so close that Weber's ears ring, his world collapsing into dirt and fire. When he crawls from the wreckage, his panzer burns behind him, its black smoke rising like a funeral banner. Hours later, as he's captured by a group of American infantrymen, he sees the tank that ended his career, a Sherman with its gun barrel still smoking. Painted on its hull are 2 words in white chalk: Kansas Belle. The irony isn't lost on him. He once laughed at these machines. Now they rule the battlefield. Days later, from a prisoner cage near Carentan, Weber overhears Allied engineers talking. "They're landing 1,000 more next week," one says proudly. The German officer beside Weber mutters, "1,000? Impossible." Weber shakes his head. "No," he says quietly. "For them it's possible. The Tiger may have been king, but the Sherman was the army." June 26th, 1944, near Saint-Lô, Normandy. The countryside is unrecognizable. Once lined with hedgerows and apple orchards, it is now a graveyard of twisted steel. Burned-out Panthers lie half-buried in the mud beside shattered Shermans. The smell of fuel and death hangs heavy in the humid air. Under a collapsed barn roof, Lieutenant Hans Weber sits on a wooden crate, his uniform torn, his hands still trembling from the concussion that took his tank. Around him, other captured German soldiers share cigarettes with their American guards, men no older than they are. A convoy of Shermans rumbles past, their engines steady and confident. Weber studies them, the crude welds, the rattling tracks, the chipped paint. To his eyes, they still look primitive compared to the meticulous craftsmanship of a Panther or Tiger. Yet, one by one, they pass, endless, like an iron tide. Nearby, an American sergeant named Frank Doyle, from the 2nd Armored Division, leans on the fence post, talking casually to another guard. "We lost a bunch of tanks last week," Doyle says, spitting dust from his mouth. "Command says replacements will be here tomorrow." "Tomorrow?" the guard replies. "Where the hell they get 'em all?" Doyle smirks. "Detroit. Where else?" Weber hears the words and stares down at the dirt. He realizes that the war he's fighting is no longer one of tactics or courage, but of industry. For every Tiger Germany builds, a masterpiece requiring weeks of precision labor, America produces dozens of Shermans in less time than it takes to bake a loaf of bread. The difference is no longer about who has the better tank, but who can afford to lose one. The Allied offensive expands. Shermans advance alongside British Cromwells and Fireflies, Their guns now upgraded to 76mm and even the deadly 17-pounder. What they lack in armour, they compensate with cooperation, infantry, air support, logistics, a system built to crush resistance through persistence. By July, Operation Cobra begins. Sherman columns roar through the breakout at Saint-Lô, ripping open the German front. Roads once guarded by panzers are now littered with their corpses. The mighty Tiger tanks that once terrified Allied crews are being abandoned for lack of fuel or destroyed by fighter bombers before they ever fire a shot. One American tanker, Sergeant Bill Haskins, writes in his letter home, "They told us we were driving tin cans. Maybe so, but I'd rather be in a tin can that keeps moving than a fortress that can't." In the weeks that follow, the German army falls back toward the Seine. Weber, now a prisoner on French soil, watches Allied convoys stretch to the horizon. Trucks, tanks, ambulances, bulldozers, all marked with the same white star. He has seen enough to know this war is lost not in courage, but in capacity. He once called the Sherman a Tommy cooker. Now to him, it's something else entirely. The machine that burned the Reich's last illusions. The rumble of engines fades into the distance, but their echo will haunt him for years to come.